conclusion, I want you to remember this. Today's American shopper has never been so fickle. And that's all of us. The retailer who wants to succeed in today's economic environment must understand the consumer of today. The retailer must understand their lifestyle, their preferences, and the expectation of today's consumer. They need to observe what the customer does and how they do it, and give them just a little bit more than what they expect. Now, I didn't put this in there, but there's something called the minimum shaft expectation theory. Anybody ever heard of that one? Probably haven't. Well, the minimum shaft, I stole that from a good friend of mine from Georgia State. What the minimum shaft expectation theory is that everybody expects to get shafted in any transaction, whether it's in a restaurant, in a store, or coming to the mart, or renting a car, or going to a grocery store. And one of the best examples is you go to a grocery store, and that happened to me last night again, and you see the sign and it says cash only 1 to 10 items. So you go into the store and you say, well, my God, you know, I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get 3 items, and I'm going to go to that line that has 1 to 10, and sure enough, it's going to be, I used to say a woman, but now I say there's going to be someone in front of me with a basket full of groceries with a credit card in the wrong line, and I'm going to have to wait, and then I'll just leave. So the minimum shaft expectation theory is when I walk into that store, minimize the shaft that I expect, and you're going to make me happy. Well, sure enough, they made me happy because I walked in that store, and the line was, nobody was there, unfortunately, so I made it easier, but I walked right out. Same thing applies when you came to the mart. I'm sure a lot of you had to wait in line. You figured, well, I know I'm going to have to wait in line a long time, and sure enough, for whatever reason, we had enough people at the front desk, and you didn't have to wait in line but 5 minutes instead of the 20 minutes. So the whole thing is the minimum shaft, minimize the amount of shafting that you think the customer is going to expect to get from you, and you'll see how you'll come out on top. And then the wheel of retailing, which I want you to look up when you get time at home, it's called the wheel of retailing. What goes around comes around. Consumers expect a retail store like the ones they experienced in the past. The wheel is turning back where the consumer knows the retailer on a personal basis. There's nothing more personal to a person to walk into a store or anywhere and they greet you by your name. And that's been happening to me a lot around the mart. And I said, my God, that's nice. Then I just realized, shit, my damn name is right up here for me. So they see it. But some people do remember me. But it's important to try to remember your customer's name. The consumer wants to know a retailer will have all the products they expect. They will be greeted by name and will receive exceptional customer service. The retailer is expected to be knowledgeable enough to carry more of an assortment of merchandise, which is called cross-merchandising. And we're going back to the general store concept. Consumers expect their retailer to be up-to-date and knowledgeable on all new products. They expect them to have what you want when you want it. Above all, they expect the latest product introductions on time, certainly before or at least at the same time as the competition. We take great pride here, and I'm not really trying to promote the mart, except to say that one of our most important goals is to be doggone sure that most every one of our exhibitors brings their new introductions here first, because we want you people, when you come here in January and deal with what you had to deal with this week at home with this weather. And man, let me tell you, I had to deal with it. I had to spend 2 nights here because I didn't get my car at the airport. But we want to be sure that they have the newest products here first. And we seem to be doing a fairly good job of that. And of course, we know the retailer must be knowledgeable about the industry and that sort of thing as well. And remember, for the retailer to survive with the competition, the business must be knowledgeable about its products, categories, and the trend of cross-merchandising. I'm just going to hit through a couple other things. I want to show you something else. You can read all that stuff, same stuff I said. Then remember that today's shopper is more excited about shopping in a freestanding store, example of the wheel of retailing. This is important. We are now entering, how many of y'all are in a real upscale covered mall? Okay, there's the answer to what I'm about to say. We're now entering into a post-mall area. This does not mean that existing malls are going out of business, but what it does mean is that the growth of the malls has gone this way. People today have preferred to walk into a store, get what they want, walk back out on the sidewalk and get in their car and go home. That's the way it used to be. And according to many retail experts, the mall as a defining concept, which is a relevant institution and a contemporary form of commercial organization, and I hope there's no mall people here, but it's history. So many malls today have consolidated. There used to be, like a Marshall Fields and a Macy's and a Target, not a Target, but a Dayton's. Those stores are all consolidated under Macy's. So we've left a lot of big box stores. 20 years ago, nobody would dream that they'd allow a Target or a Costco into a mall or a dollar department store. But that's what's happening now. So the malls are going this way, and our little independent stores are surviving. The shopping center of today will never look as shiny, as inviting as it once did, and will never be loved the same way again. It's up to us to pick up that slack. In the booming years of the 70s and 80s, a new mall would open up every 3 to 4 days. And as I said before, today many of the malls are being turned into light manufacturing centers, warehouse stores, restaurant facilities, and so on. So just remember that the consumer today is more comfortable visiting a store that has a street entrance, such as the many strip malls. They're trying to do away with that name strip, that have been developed with the big box stores as their anchors. More and more of the Kmarts and the Walmarts and the Targets are becoming anchors for little independent stores like we have here. And retailing in today's economic environment is definitely a change in progress, and the most important factor that must be addressed by the retailer is the retailer aware of these changes and how fast they're occurring. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, I can't answer them. All right, well, you know who I am. It's on the back there. If you got anything you need from me, send me an email. We aim to serve. We're glad all of y'all are here from, I know we got somebody as far away as Utah. Do we have anybody else further than Utah? Okay, you get the prize.